We need to remember that IUI is not a very efficient process. It can increase the pregnancy rate more than natural sexual activity. However, we should keep in mind that with the best efforts and the best treatment, the chance of conceptions do not go above 20%. On an average, the chances of successful IUI is somewhere between 11 to 20%. Now, there are certain indications wherein the success rate can be higher. For example, when it is done for a donor insemination. Now, suppose the gentleman is azoospermic, there is not forming sperms at all, and there is a situation wherein they are adopting a sperm to achieve a pregnancy. So, in such situations wherein the indication is a donor insemination, success rates tend to be higher. In also mild male factor infertility. In such situations wherein there is a borderline abnormality in the semen factors, double insemination tends to increase the success rate. Also, in situations like polycystic ovarian syndrome, wherein the cause of infertility has been anovulation, success rates can be higher. Younger women tend to have a higher success rate when compared to an older woman. This is obviously because after 35, the chances of having good egg becomes lesser and more number of eggs tend to be abnormal, and surely because of the reason of egg quality, the chances can be lower in older women. The chances of IUI success can also be higher when ovulation induction or superovulation is adopted. That is, if in case we give medications to form more eggs, yes, the chances are more. But yes, we need to keep in mind that there is a probability of twin pregnancy in such a situation. The most important risk is something called as ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome. In a situation wherein medications are given to form more eggs, and if we land up having the ovaries forming too many eggs, say 5, 6 or more than that, especially in situations of polycystic ovarian syndrome, in such situations, in the eventuality that the lady gets pregnant, there is a risk of either early or late ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, and this syndrome can be very dreadful. So it's very important that the doctor tries and makes sure that this is avoided at any cost. The second risk is about multiple pregnancy. When we are aiming for a higher pregnancy rate, trying to make the lady form more eggs, if we land up having 3 or 4 eggs and continue with an IUI, there is a possibility that you may not only have twins, you may land up with triplets or quadruplets, that is a triplet pregnancy or 4 sacs implanting leading to a quadruplet pregnancy. Now, triplet and quadruplet pregnancy can be a risky situation for the mother, and also medically she may have more number of complications. So it's important that higher order pregnancies, especially above twins, if encountered, and if it continues as a triplet or a quadruplet till 12 weeks of pregnancy, then the couple can consider a procedure called as fetal reduction, wherein depending on what the number of sacs are, you can remove 1 or 2 and try and make sure that it remains as twins or single depending on what the couples wish. But however, we need to keep in mind that such procedures can also be risky, and the chances of losing the entire pregnancy out of a procedure like fetal reduction would always be there, in the tune of possibly 4 to 5%. But however, it is better to avoid such a situation rather than getting into triplets or quadruplets and then landing up with a fetal reduction procedure. The other important risk of an IUI treatment is something called a cervical stenosis, wherein the doctor may not be able to pass the fine catheter into the uterine cavity for doing the insemination. Now, we need to understand that IUI catheters are usually very thin plastic cannulas, and that's the reason why there is no pain. However, because they are malleable and flexible, and if there is a stenosis of the cervix, by stenosis I mean if this part of the cervix wherein the catheter goes through it, this part, if it is very narrow, the doctor may find it very difficult to enter into the uterine cavity. There are also situations wherein the canal of the cervix can be curved. In such situation too, passing the catheter into the uterine cavity can be extremely difficult. At the same time, the procedure can be very painful for the lady. In such situations wherein a soft malleable catheter is not able to be passed into the uterine cavity, or even a stiff catheter is not being negotiated into the uterine cavity, doctor may suggest for a procedure called as cervical dilatation. Now, cervical dilatation is a procedure wherein under anesthesia, the doctor will pass a metal catheter or a metal dilator and dilate this part of the cervix so that intrauterine insemination procedures are more easier in future cycles. So this is also one of the risks in IUI procedure, and one should keep in mind. Coming to the expenses or cost of an IUI procedure, this can vary widely. This also depends on how frequent monitoring happens at each clinic. It can depend on the medications that are used. And again, insurance coverage for an IUI can vary across different companies. However, financial assistance can be available in the form of a low-cost EMI or in the form of microfinancing at many of the clinics. One may consider opting for that. the most important part, that is ovulation monitoring in an IUI, most often across many centers is done by ultrasound monitoring, because that's considered as one of the best ways of monitoring. The other way of monitoring ovulation can also be by hormonal assessment, that is by either doing a urinary LH kit test to identify when the lady is ovulating and plan for the IUI. But however, ultrasound remains the gold standard to identify when the egg develops, and also to identify when the trigger injection can be given to time the IUI correctly. A few things that the couple should keep in mind to avoid stress, undue stress, or getting flustered with these treatments is to make sure that they have a pre-treatment counseling, have realistic expectations, and manage the treatment in such a way that they do not have much stress out of the whole process. We need to understand that IUI is the first line of treatment. It is just one step more than the natural sexual activity. There is a significant number of couples who conceive with an IUI, so it can be considered as a procedure prior to moving on with advanced procedures like an IVF. So it's minimally invasive, requires minimal monitoring, and not a very expensive procedure. So it can be considered as the first line in many of the indications. To know whether they are suitable for an IVF procedure, couples should speak to their doctor and then consider going ahead with this process.